Gonky, why don't you talk about the
Yeah,
Singapore buys F-35 and
yeah. So Singapore, it's a country and a city all in one, right? I mean, it's for such well, and this is a small country. I know this because I've been there.
dude.
They have a
Oh
pretty
man.
formidable air force, so they're buying F-35s, and I actually until I read this article and did a little deep dive, I didn't know that they are buying the A and B version. So they apparently they bought the B, and now they're buying buying the A. And obviously the reasons are because of the tensions in the area, right? So that's China's right there. And when I was in Malaysia, even the Malaysians were I don't say nervous, but they definitely kept their thumb on the pulse with what China was doing because in Eastern Malaysia they had all their oil and stuff, and the Malaysians and the Singaporeans actually used to be all one big happy country and family, and they split. And so I know Malaysia would kind of compete with Singapore as far as border, like flying airplanes along the border, just kind of keeping each other in check. So I read this article and I just thought that, man, this is probably going to cause the other air forces in the region to also raise their game, which overall might be good if you're trying to keep a country like China on its toes or
Yep.
maybe at bay. But Singapore has like I said, it is geographically it is a small country. They've got a pretty powerful. Uh, they have a very powerful air force, and we were there. The Stennis pulled in there in I don't know, 06, 07 whenever I was there, and I mean, not only do they have a really awesome fighter force, but they got Apaches and they don't mess around. So, and they're a very disciplined, very clean, neat, orderly people and country. So, uh, I think the F-35 will suit them well.
Yeah, and it says there, they're noting the growing capabilities of the Chinese People's Liberation Army Air Force, which has begun, flying the J-20. You
Yeah,
have to counter the threat, and that's how you do it. You peace through superior firepower, peace through
yeah,
strength.
yeah, 100%. I mean that's yeah. I mean, China has stuff they can reach out and if you're
Yeah.
in that region, they've got stuff they can reach out and get you. So I mean, you gotta have some pretty high powered stuff, and they're getting it. So that's good. I mean, yeah. Have you ever
Yeah.
done any training with the Singaporeans mover?
I think they were in Luke. I haven't done training
Yeah,
with them, but I know people that flew the Viper like
yeah,
with them and stuff when
yeah.
they were at Luke. But no, I've never flown directly with them. So here's the question: what is their, and this might be a little bit too geopolitical, but what is their take on the whole Taiwan stuff and China's insistence in their one China policy? And would they become involved, right? Because that's the first domino if you start talking a Pacific theater front,
Yeah, honestly,
or
man,
is
I think they're too far to do.
is it just
Um,
deterrence for, expansion?
yeah,
Are they
they're
are they gonna donate their jets to that kind of cause?
it's my belief, it could be wrong, but having spent some time there in that area flying, a lot of
Mm,
those countries tend to have more of a defensive mindset.
yeah,
So they're going to preserve what they have. Now, some of their interests, may be beyond, their actual real estate. Like
right.
for example, one time the Malaysians let me go on their deployment with them, and a lot of the areas we patrolled were out over the water because a lot of the oil wells and fields and stuff were rigs out in the ocean, but that was their sea space. So
Yeah.
Singapore, there's all kinds of commerce and money stuff going on there. The port's real active,
Mhm.
so I don't know if how much of that they would probably try to keep that going because Singapore has no natural resources.
Oh,
It's literally, I joke it's a country and a city all in one because it is. They don't have any natural resources. They make their money, via business and commerce and stuff. So it's important for them to keep all that open. So I would think that that's probably, defensive in nature and keeping that open for them.
Yeah, I mean, just making one more hard target in that area so they're not susceptible to anything else.
Yeah.
Didn't it, just as an aside, wasn't Malaysia involved in Somalia, in the Mogadishu in 1993? Weren't they part of that UN force that actually helped save the Rangers?
I don't know. I don't know,
Seems
man.
like I remember Malaysia was involved in that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So Crazy Pete says now you're bullying Singapore. It is sad, actually. You're muted.
I love Singapore. We
Mhm.
no,
partied.
too.
We partied.
Sentosa Island is where we stayed, and it was amazing. I loved it. Very expensive cab rides, but other than that, it was awesome.
Mhm.